Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone?
Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning from both Kuttners.
Wonderful. There was a news article that went out yesterday that reported that several rabbis, 7 I think there were, in Israel, said that it's permissible to have Zoom running. If you set it up before Yontiv, you can have your Seder on Zoom. They picked the right day to make such a public mistake because, as we'll see in today's daf, 2 of the 3 reasons that halacha says that's prohibited are in today's daf, in the one that we just started yesterday and are in today. We will see very clearly that their halachic permission that they gave under extenuating circumstances that they said, but nevertheless they said that it's permissible to have Zoom on from before Yontiv because you're not doing anything. As we will see in today's Gemara, that they are gravely mistaken. 3 of the signatures on that statement, at least in another news article, said they retract their heter and they recognize they made a mistake. There is no way in halacha that is permissible. Unfortunately, they made probably out of real kindness of the heart and seeing the need in the circumstances, tried to come up with a heter, but the heter was wrong. So we are in the Gemara of a list of things that you are allowed to do before Shabbos, even though continue going into Shabbos. So we saw that you're allowed to open up water into the field, and you're allowed to put smoke beneath your silver vessels and incense to make your garment smell better beneath your garment. So the Gemara says that we're up to kilar manichin kilar al gabe ayin. You can put some potion on your eye, v'espalanas agabe maka, or a bandage over a wound, and allow it to continue to heal throughout Shabbos. But what you're not allowed to do is you're not allowed to put wheat into a mill. Shalmayim, it's a water mill, and therefore it'll continue to run throughout Shabbos. It has to be that the milling would be complete before Shabbos. My time on my Rav and Pnei Mashma's Kollel. The halacha is that anything that makes sound on Shabbos may not be done even prior to Shabbos and set it up to go through Shabbos. So that's zoom out number 1. You cannot set up a Zoom conference prior to Shabbos that's going to run on Shabbos if you keep the sound on. If it's just a picture, then this prohibition wouldn't apply. But what's clear over here in the Gemara is that you're not allowed to set up something that is going to make sound throughout into Shabbos or into Yontif. So he says, okay, great. It's true that it's prohibited on account of that you have something that makes noise. It's mashmias kol. But there's another thing. It should also be permissible, prohibited. I mean, it should also be prohibited to do the mill over Shabbos because your vessel is working. And since your vessel is working, it's prohibited to have your vessels also have to rest. The Tanya, as we learned, after the Torah says you and your household and your animals need to rest, it also says, and all that I told you shall guard. What's all that I told you shall guard? Also your vessels need to rest. And so why didn't you say that? So Rabbi Yosef says, indeed, the reason of the prohibition of a mill is also on account of shvisas kelim. You need your vessels to rest. So Gemara says, if you're saying, according to Beis Hillel as well, not only Beis Shammai, but even Beis Hillel, who say that you're not allowed to do a mill, it's not only because it makes noise, but also because your vessels need to rest. Well, then why are gofres and mugmar my time is shorter? So then why are you allowed to smoke your silver engravements with sulfur and your vessels with incense, the clothing with incense? My time is shorter, because the Gemara says because there's nothing to do on Shabbos. So this is the next svara the Gemara has, and this one is halachic, and we'll see it later in the Gemara as well. That anytime you're not doing an action, meaning whatever is done before Shabbos is completely done, you don't do anything to the item as well on Shabbos, that's permissible. And therefore, even if there's shvisas kelim, your vessels need to rest, this is going to be permissible. And obviously that's not the case with Zoom. When you set up a Zoom before Shabbos, you keep changing the image on Shabbos when you speak into it. You keep changing the sound, you keep changing the image of the screen on your side and on that side. And so you are continuing to do the work, and there's no way that that's permissible on Shabbos when you set up a camera and continue speaking into it or making faces into it. On Shabbos, it is absolutely, without a doubt, usher. As the Gemara says here, the only reason that mugmar and sulfur smoke would be permissible is because there's nothing else to do. It continues entirely on its own. Unan shel pishta my time sharu, and therefore, why is it permissible to put the flax that's turning into linen into the oven? Whatever this my cursor here. What about unan shel pishta my time sharu? Why is it permissible? The lay of it ma'isa, because you're not doing anything there either. And it just sits there in the oven and is resting. What about a trap? So Gemara says the kavid ma'isa, by fish at least you're doing something, or some animal traps you have to pull something. My time is shorter, so why is it permissible? Hasam nami belechi b'kukri. We're talking about the types of traps, not a net where you have to do something and pull it in, because indeed that would be prohibited, because you're doing some part even after the animal is trapped. You need to pull, or lechi is like a fishing line where you have to pull reel the fish in. That's prohibited. And somebody asked in the comments, what about unattended surveillance cameras? So if there's a live screen, then many posts can say that's prohibited. If you set it up, I think everybody says it's prohibited. Somebody else's screen where you didn't set up the camera, so it's like somebody else taking a picture of you. Many posts can say it's permissible. But if it just goes into the cloud, no screen is seeing the closed circuit or a surveillance camera, such as your home device, that there's no screen watching it, then it is indeed permissible, because it's not going anywhere.
That's an interesting point, because with Ring, for instance, I saw this thing about Amazon, which was pretty disturbing. But one of the things they said, that the reason they wanted Ring, that the reason they bought Ring, is surveillance. They want to know when people leave their house and come back and go in. So, I don't know if there's screens, but they're certainly analyzing the data. They're making use of the images.
Yeah, that can all be, and I don't know. I doubt they have a screen for all the Ring going on. That would be
right.
Pretty impossible in my sense. What I assume the data is going into analytics and not, so it's coded numbers. That's not doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
In any case, the Gemara says the only way to be permissible is because there's no action actually being done. You're not doing anything on Shabbos. You continue as you are. However, once Rabbi Shaya said, Amar Ravasi, in the name of Ravasi, Man Tana Shvisas Kel D'Oraisa B'Shamai, that it's only B'Shamai that are of the opinion that Shvisas Kalim is your vessels need to rest on Shabbos biblically. And they're not Medirabana, but they're Isa. So Beishamai v'loy Beis Hillel, but not Beis Hillel. So therefore, the Beishamai being covered Ma'isa being the loy covered Ma'isa Asa. Beishamai is going to say it's also regardless of whether you're doing something or not. The Beis Hillel afagav the covered Ma'isa Shari, and then we'd say that according to Beishamai, Beis Hillel, even if you're doing something, it'd be permissible. If that's the case, Ahashta the Amras of Beishamai afagav the covered Ma'isa Asa. You say Beishamai is going to be also even if you don't do anything on Shabbos. So we're now on Yud Chesamad base 18b. Mugmar v'gafris my time of Sharu. So why a mugmar and gafris, which is smoking your clothing to give it incense, a good scent, and sulfur to blacken your smith work? My time of Sharu Beishamai. So why did Beishamai say it's permissible? Hasamunacha ara. It's actually not in a vessel. He made the fire on the ground. What about gigas v'ner kedera shpud? You have a pot. Every pot needs to be cooked. Every candle is running into Shabbos. Every when you marinate something in jars, you ferment something in barrels. You have a spit with in your fire. All of these things you start before Shabbos, and it continues cooking and marinating into Shabbos for sure. My time is Shara Beishamai. So why Kodesh Beishamai is that permissible? So Gemara says, according to Beishamai, you're going to have to the mafkir luhu afkuri. You're going to have to make your vessels ownerless over Shabbos. So Gemara continues with things that you're allowed to and not allowed to do, and checks according to whose opinion this is. So man tana lahad tana rabbanan letamali isha kedera associates v'turmasam v'taniach l'tech hatana rev Shabbos im chashecha. Whose opinion is it that it says that a woman is not allowed to fill her pot with beans that need a long time to soak and cook, and put it into the oven over Shabbos? And if she did do that before Shabbos, it has to be that it's ready before Shabbos. And if she did so where it got ready over Shabbos, Matzah Shabbos, she's not allowed to benefit from those beans until the Shabbos is until there's a benefit. Until after Shabbos, she could have done this. In other words, if it cooked another 3 hours into Shabbos, she can't use it for another 3 hours after Shabbos, which is the time that she could have cooked it outside of Shabbos. That it can make the same happen after Shabbos. Similarly, a baker should not fill a barrel full of water and put it into the oven Erev Shabbos and Chashecha, Friday night right before Shabbos, and then let it cook throughout the Shabbos. And if he did so, Matzah Shabbos is not allowed to benefit from it enough until there's enough time for him to have done this after Shabbos. So this way he doesn't benefit from the mistake. Let's say this is all Beishamai. Sigmar says no, but no, we say this can even be Beis Hillel. Here's another issue that comes up with the Zoom. That halacha is any time that there may be a desire, and this is a gzeira, anything you do that you may be allowed to do before Shabbos, but there may be a desire to change direction, to increase the heat, to do anything with it in order to fix it on Shabbos is prohibited. And therefore, by cooking, if you put something on to cook on Shabbos on the fire directly, it's usher to do, because we'll see more about this in Shehiyah and Hatmana. You're not allowed to do things that are going to. You can't have something that you do before Shabbos that's going to run and continue in Shabbos if it's going to need attention to make sure that it continues well. And over here, the concern is you may fan the flames or turn the coals in order to increase the heat. In the Zoom as well, as you know, you have to turn the screen, you have to change the volume, it froze, some setting changed. So there's absolutely always a need to maintain it. Again, the only thing Beis Hillel will say are mutter to do before Shabbos, if nothing needs to be done with it into Shabbos. Over here, Shema Gechalim, not only if they don't need to, but if there's a chance that you're going to need to, it's usher to do.
Now, how about just adjusting yourself and putting yourself in the frame? Is that usher in and of itself?
Sure.
So just to move yourself so that you're in focus or whatever.
You're creating the image.
Uh-huh.
You're adjusting the image. If somebody else is taking a picture of you, that's one thing. But if you walk into if somebody else is taking a picture and you photobomb, you're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're walking in Yerushalayim and some tourist says, "Oh, look at that, a Jew," haven't seen one of those here, and it takes a picture of you, they take a picture of you. But if they're taking a picture of their own family, and you photobomb, I'm here, right? You've done that. So So if so, what about the sulfur smoke and the incense smoke? Over there too, maybe he's going to increase the fire. No, for sure not. People don't want to touch the coals once that happens because it'll create more black smoke. And they don't want black smoke. They want an incense smell, something that's nice. They want a particular sulfur in there. And if you start turning the coals, you're going to end up getting charcoal, and that's going to blacken your garment or blacken the vessel. You don't want that. Ash is going to come out and smoke's going to come out. That's actually bad for it. What about the drying flax to turn it into linen? There you have to seal the oven and you can't open it. If you open the oven, you're going to ruin the flax. Fresh air is bad for it. He'll never open it. What about you have dye in a pot and you put wool in order to absorb the dye? There too, we should be afraid that the dye is hardening, and so you need to loosen it. We're talking about that it's not on the fire anymore; it's off the fire. Well, what about if he's going to stir the pot, and stirring the pot is also doing something on Shabbos that's increasing the cooking? Now it's two things: it's off the fire, and the cover is sealed in order for the wool to take. He says, okay, based on what you're saying now, that there's a concern, not only if you actually do something on Shabbos, but if you may end up doing something on Shabbos to fix it. So I have an idea. If you want to cook on Shabbos and you have a kidra chaisa, you have a pot of raw food, shari lanucher of Shabbos, then you're allowed to put it on the fire im chashech even right before Shabbos, betanura into an oven. My time, and what's the reason? Anyhow, you're not going to be. It's not going to be ready for your to be eaten Friday night. It's only going to be ready tomorrow morning. Well, it has a whole night to cook, so we're not concerned that you're going to change the heat temperature. You're going to increase the fire. You're going to flip the coals. We're not concerned about that. You know why? Because in any case, it's not going to be ready tonight. And in any case, it'll be ready tomorrow. So we're not concerned. So you just leave it and you forget about it. And you're not going to change the temperature. You're not going to turn the coals. Dummy. And if it's also properly cooked, it's also going to be fine if it's fully cooked. But bashil, it's only when it's cooked, but not fully cooked, that we're concerned. You may raise the temperature on the heat, and you may fan the flames. That's where there's a concern. But where the food is fully cooked or fully raw, we're not concerned. So what happens if you have a pot that's almost fully cooked? You want to leave it on the flames, but there's a concern that maybe it's not going to be fully cooked enough, and you're going to raise the temperature. Umar says, so throw in a raw piece of meat. So that's going to be sufficient, because this way, anyhow, it's not going to be ready tonight. It's only going to be ready tomorrow. So you're not going to fan the flames, because by tomorrow it's enough to cook. And the Gemara says, and now that we said that in regards to wool, we said that anything that is bad for it when you open it and fresh air goes in, you won't uncover it. Hi bisra the gadya v'sharik shaperdam. If you are cooking goat's meat and you've sealed the oven where it's not good for it to open up in the middle, shaperdam, you can do that because it actually is bad for the meat if it gets fresh air. It needs to have a slow cooking going on. However, the baruch of sharik if it's an ayal, it's ram's meat, and it's you didn't seal the oven, that's going to be prohibited. The gadya sharik. However, if it's goat's meat and you didn't seal the oven, or the baruch of sharik, or ram's meat and you did seal the oven, where there, for ram's meat, it's not so bad if you open the fresh air and let the fresh air in. So therefore, we're afraid maybe even a sealed oven, you're going to unseal. Or for goat's meat, since you didn't seal it, what's the halacha? So Rav Ashi Shari. Rav Ashi nevertheless says it's permissible because it's bad for goat's meat, and you sealed it, so that's a sufficient reminder not to open it. However, Rabbi Yirmiyah Medifti said it's prohibited. So Gemara says, according to Rav Ashi, the Shari, that it's permissible. Well, we have a Mishnah that says later that you're not allowed to roast or grill a meat or onions or eggs unless it'll be ready before Shabbos, because that takes maintaining it. Hasam the baruch of there it's talking about ram's meat that's not sealed, and therefore you're not allowed to keep it on the fire. But other meat you could keep on the fire. Ikadarmi, that those that say no. The gadya ben sharik ben lo sharik shapedam. Goat's meat, it's not good for it to open up the oven. So regardless of whether you seal the oven or not, you're not going to open the oven, and therefore you're allowed to cook it Friday, even if it continues into Shabbos. The barachanami v'sharik shaperdami, and also of a ram, if you sealed it, it's okay. The only machlokas is in regards to ram's meat that you did not seal the oven. So there's a machlokas that Rav Ashi says nevertheless it's permissible because you've closed the oven. Rabbi Yirmiyah says that it is prohibited. So when it says Rav Ashi the shari v'tanan and you're not allowed to roast meat, egg, or onion unless it's going to be ready before Shabbos. So that's talking about where you just threw it it's on a grill, it's on the fire, it's in a spit, it's directly on the coals. That's where it's a problem. If you have raw pumpkin, raw gourd, also shari, it's going to be permissible. The shopper dummy, it's going to be okay. Keeping the kosher lazika kabisar the gadi dummy. Since it's bad for it, if you open the oven in the middle of it cooking, fresh air to come in, it ruins it. So therefore, it's permissible. So here you have a list of things that are permissible on Shabbos before Shabbos. Here's a criteria. If you do something before Shabbos that A, makes no sound, and it makes no noise, so then you can continue into Shabbos. 2, if you don't have to do anything to it on Shabbos, so you're not doing anything, you're not speaking into it, you're not making faces into it, so nothing that you do continues into Shabbos, it's all done beforehand, that's permissible. Or, and there's no chance that, there's no need to do anything on Shabbos to adjust it. But if there's a chance that you're going to maybe want to adjust the volume, temperature, etc., it's usher to do before Shabbos. These are just some of the reasons that having a Zoom set up before Shabbos are absolutely prohibited to do on Shabbos and Yom Tov itself. As I said, it seems like some of the rabbis that wrote that letter retracted already, although I cannot vouch for either one. I think the main point that somebody made to me yesterday about that was nobody has ever heard of any of these rabbis, don't even know the towns that they live in, and to follow the psak of a few rabbis on a letter that no one has ever heard of seems pretty self-selective. In any case, we tend not to do halacha over here, just the Daf Yomi, but since the Daf today was so relevant to a shocking new psak of yesterday that a few individual rabbis made, I thought it was appropriate to point out that this Daf clearly states that was a mistaken psak.
Problem is, how many people are going to hear you versus how many people are going to just see this letter and never hear any retraction and never hear anything and say, oh, okay.
Oh, it's terrible.
Terrible
I cannot
damage.
tell you, I must have received 40, 50 communications yesterday from people saying, is this real? Can I do this? So, and my answer to each one was absolutely not. There's no way this is not mistaken. I mean, it's absolutely clear in halacha that it's a mistake. And I think they're well-intentioned rabbis. I'm not saying that they were trying to do something wrong. I think they were trying to help a very difficult situation that we're all in, and people whose parents who are elderly need to, help making a seder or vice versa. In any case, it's all over the place. I mean, it's the cat's out of the bag. It's going to be really hard to retract that and let people know. In any case, Beishamai says, you're not allowed to sell something on Friday close to Shabbos because the non-Jew carrying it is going to end up taking the stuff away from your house on Shabbos. So the Gemara says, Tashama, Tanrabanan, Beishamai Omrim lo yimkar adam chefzo lanachri. A person should not sell his items to a non-Jew. V'lo yeshelenu, and you can't even lend it to him. V'lo yavenu, you can't lend him money. V'lo yitel lo b'matana, you can't gift him anything. Unless there's enough time for the non-Jew to leave your house with the item and get back to his house in time. Beis Hillel say no, all he needs is enough time to get to a house near the end of the city. Rabbi Kiva says, no, he only has to leave your house before Shabbos. When Rabbi Kiva said that, he wasn't saying his own opinion. He was saying that that's what Beis Hillel said, and that the first Tana who said in the name of Beis Hillel that they have to get far away from your house enough that they're at the end of the city is not correct. Beis Hillel hold as long as they leave your house, the non-Jew leaves their house with the item before Shabbos, that's fine. On Shabbos, they cannot leave your house with the item because it looks like they're working for you on Shabbos and they're doing something for you on Shabbos. They're carrying for you. You're sending materials where you're doing work on Shabbos. But if you didn't do it if you did it before Shabbos and they left your house before Shabbos, that's fine. Rabbi Kiva is not arguing on Beis Hillel, just explaining Beis Hillel. Tana Rabbana Beishamai Omrim. Does anybody hearing that ticking sound?
Yep.
It's good? Anybody hear a ticking sound?
Yes.
What?
This stuff.
Yes, you hear a little bit of
I'm hearing
sound.
it muted otherwise.
Oh, maybe coming from my house. One second.
Heavy Omer Bevei Rav of Shamilson.
Yeah. Okay. So, Tanarvana B'Shamei Omrim B'Shamei Selim Kadam Chimtzo L'Nachri. This is also appropriate for Pesach. You cannot sell B'Shamei say you cannot sell your chametz before Pesach unless the non-Jew will finish the chametz before Pesach. The say that the non-Jew has to complete the chametz. You sell it before Pesach, otherwise you're not allowed to sell it. Say no such problem. As long as you're allowed to eat the chametz, you're allowed to sell it to a non-Jew. You're allowed to sell it to a non-Jew. Rabbi Yehuda says, and we're now on Yud Tes, Amid Aleph, 19a. Kutach habavli b'chol mine kutach hasalim k'lamad yom kadam Pesach. He says that you're not allowed to sell kutach habavli, which is a dip that has chametz in it. And since the dip lasts a long time, and he holds like Beis Shammai that it has to be that a non-Jew that buys your chametz has to finish the chametz before Pesach, and therefore you're not allowed to sell this dip because it would take 30 days. It sits in the, it can stay fresh for a while. Fresh meaning because it's moldy bread anyhow. So anyhow, the halach is not that way. The halach is like this Hillel, that you're allowed to sell your chametz as long as you're allowed to eat it. You're allowed to put food in front of a dog before Shabbos, and he'll eat it on Shabbos in your backyard, even though that the dog is going to take it and walk out. Even if he takes it out, you don't have to be worried about that. Similarly, you're also allowed to put food in front of a non-Jew and feed him. And even if he walks out of your backyard with the food, it's not you don't have to worry about that. Hasulamali. Why do I have to say this as well? It seems like the same halacha. It is incumbent upon you to feed your own animals, but to feed other people, that's not incumbent upon you. Even though it is in Darkei Shalom, and being peaceful and kind to people, you have to feed them. But there is no need. Perhaps it's not incumbent upon you, and therefore. Perhaps you're not allowed to do that on Shabbos if they're going to walk out with it. Kamash Malan, that's why I have to say no. As long as it's food that they're eating, they're allowed to walk out with it, and it's clear they're not working for you by doing that. If it's a package, then it may look like they're doing your business. So Gemara says, similarly, Tanabana Yasker Adam Caleb Lanachim Erev Shabbos, you're not, according to Beis Shammai as well, you're not going to be allowed to lease your vessels to a non-Jew to do. So if you lease out a truck or lease out a shovel, you're not allowed to lease that to a non-Jew on Wednesday or Thursday because on Friday, but on Wednesday and Thursday it's permissible. Without the hey mutter, it's going to be permissible. Similarly, Ein Mashachin Igros Biyad Nachri Erev Shabbos V'Dal V'Hei. Not allowed to send letters with a non-Jew Erev Shabbos on Wednesday or Thursday. Mutter, then it's going to be permissible. So you can't send it on Friday. You can't put out a package with FedEx or with the postman on Friday, only on Thursday or Wednesday. Amar lo Rabbi Yosef Kohen v'Amar lo Rabbi Yosef Chassid. They say he never sent a letter with a non-Jew because he was afraid he's going to do the work of delivering it on Shabbos. Tanar Rabbanan. So the Bryce is going to explain this. So you can't send a letter or a package with a non-Jew unless it's a set fee. It's a set fee, then you're allowed to do it because then he's working for himself. He's not working for you per hour. He's working for the fee. He said, this package, $10. Fine, $10. So then he can do it today, he can do it tomorrow, he can do it whenever he wants. No, it has to be that he can get to his own house before Shabbos. And Bishil say, no, he just has to get to the end of the city. And we saw earlier, Rabbi Kiva says, no, as long as he leaves your house, it's enough. Well, like cuts out. Well, over there, he's already set the price. So what's the problem? No, if he sets the price, he can do it even on Shabbos. He can pick up the package before Shabbos, not a problem, even if he's going to deliver it on Shabbos. However, if he did not set a price, but rather you're paying him per hour, per work, So Beshami Omer Mache Gila Basic. Beshami says he has to leave your house first, then get to his house. He just has to get to the city. And so Gemara says, but earlier you said you're not allowed to even send it. And now you're saying you're allowed to send it even though he's not set price. So what's the difference? Depends if there's a postmaster. If there's a postmaster, so he's already an employee that he's walking around delivering mail anyhow. They're doing the packages in any case. So they're going to stop for you at another place. That's not a problem. But if there's no postmaster in the city, so then he's working specifically for you, that's prohibited. So again, the only way that it would be prohibited specifically to have a mail done on Shabbos is if Friday afternoon you overnight something. And you're saying it's guaranteed overnight. It's guaranteed that you're taking this for me over Shabbos. Those say that you're not allowed to do it because you're overnighting it specifically to be delivered on Shabbos. You're not allowed to get into a boat within 3 days of Shabbos. If you're going to take a cruise, if you're going to take a long boat ride, a ship ride, you're going to have to get onto the boat within a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. But Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you're not allowed to. Poskim have different reasons as to why that is the halacha, but let's say go with the opinion that it's because you're going to be seasick the first few days. And when Shabbos comes, it's not going to be pleasant. But that's only if you're going for a personal reason, you're going on a cruise for enjoyment. But if you're going to do a mitzvah, shaper dummy, then you can even get on the ship on Friday, even though it's going to travel, obviously, through Shabbos. And you make a condition with him and say, hey, but you have to stop for Shabbos. You know he's not going to, but nevertheless you do. That's what Rebbe said. Shimon Gamliel says, you don't even have to make a condition with him because you got on Monday or you got on Friday and it's a Dvar Mitzvah, so it's not a problem. Umitzor letzidon, from the city of Tyre to Tzidon, afilu be'erev Shabbos mutter, you're even allowed to do it on Friday because you're going to get there. There's enough time to get there before Shabbos. In 3 days within Shabbos, you're not allowed to set up a siege on a city that is fighting the Jews. However, if you started, you don't have to stop the siege. And Beishamai says that it says in the Torah in regards to a siege on an enemy city that you're allowed to maintain the siege ad ridita until you get them out. So therefore, even allowed to continue on Shabbos. Later, we'll see another Gemara that talks about a Mishnah Gemara that talk about going to battle on Shabbos. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel's household, they used to take white linens to the cleaners only Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, because Wednesday it would take him 3 days and it mean that he would work on Shabbos, and so they wouldn't bring it on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. This was the custom of Rabbi Gamliel's household. They would give white linen garments to the launderer 3 days before Shabbos. But colored garments, which are usually wool, Erev Shabbos. That he would even do on Erev Shabbos. And from the household of Rabbi Gamliel, we can learn that colored wool was easier to clean, and the white linens were harder to clean, 3 times harder. Abaya was giving a colored wool garment to the washer, the cleaners. How much are you going to charge for it? Same as a white garment. You can't fool me. I already learned what the Gemara taught us, the Mishnah, that the Chachamim already said that colored garments are easier to clean than the white linens. If somebody gives clothing to a launderer, he should take the length. He should measure it first. Why? And then he should measure it when he picks it up. The itafi Palasate demachte, because it could be that they'll stretch it for you and it'll be too long and he'll notice. V'batzer avsadei dekavtze, or it'll be too short because he washed it in a way that it shrunk. So you should know what you're giving, so you know what you get back. But they both agree that you can help put on stuff to the donkey and Shabbos. So so you not a donkey, in a mill, not a mill, a press. You can put on a press on Shabbos. So Gemara says, that Beishamai said you cannot do some of these things on Friday because they're going to continue into Shabbos. And Maishna, why is there no concern of putting the press, so the way they used to do it, they used to take all the pulp left of the wine press or the olive press, and they would put a beam on it, and the beam would press, and throughout Shabbos, the oil would run out or the wine would run out. So why did Beishamai not make a gzeir on that? Because the other things, if you did do it on Shabbos, it would be the oraisa prohibition, and therefore it's usher to do even erev Shabbos. Gazerbu, that's why they made an enactment. However, Beishamai erev Shabbos and Friday close to Shabbos. However, kuras beisabat bigule agas the avalu b'Shabbos lemechayev chatas legazerbu. But pressing out the remainder of the grapes and olives, those are not going to be a deoraisa, and therefore there's no prohibition. So before we get to the next Gemara, just a little bit about the isser of mefarik, which is pressing. It's a tolda of dush. Dush is threshing, which is where you press out the kernel of wheat from the husk around it. So too, when you press grapes and you get the juice out, you're taking the inside out from the outer shell, and that's prohibited. However, if you've already started that pressing process, that you've already crushed the grapes and the juice is oozing out, and now you just want to squeeze out the last bit, that's at the Rabbanan level of a mefarik, of schita. And that, since it's not going to bring you to a chatas in any case, so doing it Friday, which will do it on its own, they'll continue on its own into Shabbos, even Beishamai did not make exer. Gemara says, "Mantana the chalmidi the asi memela shaperdam." Whose opinion is that anything that you already started and the rest of it is just happening on its own is permissible on Shabbos? Amar Rav Yossi, Rabbi Shmuel. This is the opinion of Rabbi Yishmael. The Tanan, as we learned, Hashum va'aboysev va'amalilos shariska mebadyan. Garlic and unripened grapes and unripened stalks of wheat, whatever, the kernels. You've ground them up before Shabbos, and now they're just sitting and marinating and oozing over Shabbos. It can continue after it's already been broken down, and now it's just going to ooze out on its own. It can continue even on Shabbos. Rabbi Kiva Omer, and now we're on Yud Tes Amud Beis 19b. Lo yigmar. You cannot leave it under a press to continue on Shabbos. Rabbi Eliezer Omer. Rabbi Eliezer says, Rabbi Lazar Omer, and this is Rabbi Lazar the Amora, Rabbi Lazar ben Pedas. He says that Rabbi Lazar, it's the opinion of Rabbi Lazar ben Shemua, Rabbi Lazar the Tana. The Tanana we learned, Chalas dvash arishkomer of Shabbos. You have honeycombs that you squeezed out before Shabbos. You already broke it up on before Shabbos, and then the rest of it is happening on Shabbos. Also, it's prohibited. However, Rabbi Lazar Matir, Rabbi Lazar says it's permissible. Rabbi Yosef Chanina, my time Rabbi Lazar. So why did Rabbi Yosef Chanina say it's the opinion of Rabbi Elazar, who says that it's like honeycombs that you're allowed to squeeze out? Amalachai says no, that's not the same. Because honey, even after you squeeze it out, is not a liquid; it's a solid, it's a food. So it started off as food and ended food. So that's not a real schita. That you haven't done a real mefarik, a real squeezing out. But by grapes, by olives, by garlic, at first it was food, bahashta mashka, and now you've turned it into a juice that should be usher and that's why he didn't say that. Rabbi Lazar says, Hashmi'ina le Rabbi Lazar dafilo zeisavan avenam mishari. We find that they say even olives and grapes are also permissible, and we'll continue with this tomorrow, Bez Hashem. The halacha of that of grapes and olives that you started to break up, whether you continue on Shabbos.